This is the most amount of interest complete strangers have had in my life since, well, ever. It's been 2 months since I told you my life fell apart, so I guess it is time for an update video. Welcome back to the ridiculous cluster slash train wreck that is my life. For those of you who aren't up to date, my name's Lashan, I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I moved to Montreal a little over 2 years ago to try and make a life here. After going through the hell that is trying to find an apartment here, learning French, and busting my ass for close to 8 months searching for a job, I finally found one that was perfect for me in the most unexpected of circumstances. I started work with them on a 4-month contract intended as a trial period for full employment, and they liked me a lot and were willing to go through getting me a closed work permit to keep me. But it all fell apart thanks to the lovely people at the New York office for vetoing the decision and ruining my life, forcing me to search for a new job in December, the worst time possible to start looking for a job, with less than 2 months on my visa. I made a video about it. That was over 2 months ago. I'm still here. We'll explain that in a bit. So, what happened since my last video? Well, the response was overwhelming, to say the least. So many people reached out. I counted at least 26. 6 people shared my video around. Over 11 people referred me for tons of different companies. I got 1 marriage proposal, serious or not. I've been blown away. Thank you so much for reaching out and trying to help in whatever way you could. I honestly wasn't expecting anything to come from that video, and it really touched me to see how many people cared. Thank you. Unfortunately, even with all of those referrals, not even a single in-person interview came out of it. I had a phone interview for a company pretty early on in my search. I prepared a ton for it, only to get on the call complètement en français and not even get to the interview part because the first thing he asked about was my visa, when it would expire, and then said it wasn't long enough. I've had in-person meetings with an employee from the Montreal office of my old company in Sydney who referred me to HR, and again, I heard absolutely nothing back. The only thing that actually worked for me, like every other time, was just spamming applications on Indeed without any rhyme or reason. After about 6 weeks of applying, I got interviews for 2 different companies, both thanks to my video CV actually, both in project management, both very far away, roughly an hour and a half away on public transport. But I was desperate, and that was something I was willing to deal with. Until I got there. After catching a bus, then a metro with 1 transfer, then a long wait in the cold, and then another bus to a middle of nowhere industrial estate next to the highway, surrounded by slush and minus 20-degree weather, I was done with it. If I'm gonna try this hard, bust my ass for a year to learn the language, 8 months of my life just searching for a job, only to lose it because of a bunch of people in another country who have no idea who I am, then keep trying absolutely everything in my power to make things work. Get referred over 11 times, and then all I get is this likely low-paying job with long hours in the middle of nowhere, and another dead-end job just as far away. I'm done. I think I'm a pretty resilient and persistent person when it comes to these things, but too many times in my life have I committed to something, put my all into it, have everything feel like it's gonna work out, only to have everything fall apart catastrophically at the last minute because of something completely out of your control that you can do nothing about. Like life is playing a cruel joke on you again and again. I had enough. There is a limit of how much BS I'm willing to go through just for the right to stay here. I'm done. I'm over Montreal. I'm done with Montreal. I gave up on my search for jobs then and there. Not wanting to leave any stone unturned though, I still went through with the interviews. Interview with that company went well, and I got brought in for a second. The second company, however, have you ever been in an interview where halfway through you start to think, how exactly can I get out of this room? Because that was me. I've never wanted to work less for a company, more in my entire life. The dude just would not shut up about himself. The first 15 minutes of the interview was him giving me his life story. And then after that, he gave the floor to me and asked me to introduce myself. Within 10 seconds, he interrupted me with another anecdote. He said he was looking for someone young that he wanted to train, which is fine, but he expected them to stay for 10 to 20 years. All right, mate. Okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that. After one excruciating hour, I was out of there, and I hope he never contacts me again. My plan switched to, thanks to all of your suggestions, applying for PR in Ontario through Express Entry. I've sent off everything to get my degree verified. I have my IELTS English exam in about a week. I can't believe, as an Australian, I have to do an English test. And I'm gonna do the French exam as well. I might love Montreal, but it's a lost cause at this point. That said, with all of that in mind, I went into the second interview with the other company, which went fine. I walked in there not caring what would happen, and I walked out of there not expecting to get the job. Until later that week, when I got a phone call from the company. I saw the company's name plastered over my phone, and I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. I picked up the phone. I got the job. So after all the heartache to look for something in a last-ditch attempt to stay here, literally completely giving up on the idea and looking at other options, I get a job offer. 2 days before my visa was going to expire. I hate everything. Now to my visa situation. After the last day of my visa, I'm on this thing called implied status, which allows you to continue on whatever conditions your previous permit had until a decision is made on your application, whether that's a yes or a no. I'm not going to go into details on mine, but the reality of it is that any implied status situation is a total gray area, and effectively mine just buys me a few months of time while I figure things out. What I thought would happen while on implied status was that I was allowed to continue working, no questions asked, but there are certain things which are still tied to your expiry date, like your SIN number, which is required to get paid. That expired. So now I was gonna start work at a company where I was in a position where I was unable to get paid on Saturday, the day my visa was set to expire. The stress surrounding everything and the vagueness that surrounds implied status, it's really vague, everyone thinks different things, was too much, and I just lost it. I couldn't believe all of this was happening to me. Just the amount of bad luck that has to occur for this situation to unfold was just... I walked out of there knowing I had tried literally everything I could. The frustrating thing is I didn't even have to be in this position. What I should have done at the start of this, at the start of all of this, and what everyone coming to Canada on a working holiday visa should do is not activate it when they arrive into Canada. Come on a tourist visa and then activate it once you found a job. I wasn't working for at least the first 4 months of my working holiday visa. I was learning French. That's wasted work permit time that I could have been making the most of right now. So now I'm basically unable to work in Canada and I have no idea what to do next. And after talking to my lawyer, while I have more than enough points for express entry in Ontario, I'm missing the requirement of 1 year of continuous work experience. The most I have is 10 months continuous, even though I have way more than 1 year in total, including Canadian experience, all in my field, and that's in the past 3 years. So tripped up on a technicality again. I moved here to Montreal with the goal of moving here permanently and making a life here. And after doing everything I can to stay, by integrating, by learning the language, getting a job only to lose it in the most unfair circumstances possible, looking for something else that can let me stay, and doing literally everything in my power to make it work, pushing every opportunity to its limit, and taking every risk available, I failed. I tried everything and I failed. It doesn't matter sometimes how badly you want something or how persistent you are or any of it. Sometimes things don't work out no matter how hard you try because of a bunch of stupid Americans. If this sounds really bitter, I am. I hate New York. New York. This whole Montreal or even Canada thing is over. I literally have to leave in a couple months. So the question that I keep getting, when are you moving back to Australia? Like hell I'm moving back to Australia. And honestly, I don't think I'd have an easy time finding a job there anyway. I mean, I don't want to go back to Australia, but I'm still Australian, right? So I have access to a lot of other working holiday visas. So I've been looking into those, and should I announce this? I might as well try to speak it into existence. None of this is confirmed as I haven't booked or applied to anything, but I'm moving to France? No. New Zealand? Nope. Even though I could just rock up there without applying to anything. The United States of America? No. You couldn't pay me to move there. I'm moving to Where is it? Berlin or London. I haven't really decided yet. I know this sounds absolutely nuts, but this is the only idea that has gotten me legitimately excited instead of things like moving back to Australia, which get me insanely depressed. It's incredibly easy to get the visa for either country. For Berlin, Germany, it takes about 2 weeks to process. Or if you move to Berlin and then activate the visa there, they do it the same day of appointment. Same day. And that gives me a year to work. London/the UK takes 3 weeks to get the working holiday visa after I have my biometrics done. And it is 2 years. So honestly, I'm probably gonna move to London as opposed to Berlin, even though Berlin would be like top. London is probably more responsible, just with a vastly higher cost of living. I'm not taking any solid steps until I have actual leads on getting jobs. So if you have any in London/UK/Germany/Berlin, please email me at lashan@lashan.co or hit me up on LinkedIn. But I'm thinking I could hop over to Europe, get my 1 year of continuous work experience or more, have heaps of fun in Europe along the way, get my PR, and then decide if I want to move back or not. I've always wanted to live there at some point in my life, and I need to work, and I need to spend some time outside of Canada, so why not now? Just say, screw it, and jump on the opportunity. But if it isn't clear at the moment, you're watching the story of someone who tried absolutely everything to stay in Canada, just had his dreams of living in Canada absolutely crushed, is in free fall, but is unwilling to give up and has nothing to lose. I'm young, I have the money to go out and try this, so why not? 2019 just started. My life is a complete unknown right now, and I have no idea where I'm gonna end up. I wanna make this a crazy year. To everyone who keeps telling me to move back to Australia and just get a nice safe job like the rest of us, that isn't for me. Life is not a race. I might end up in Canada eventually, but at the moment, I just don't care. And to be honest, I'm kind of over Montreal. I really just need a break from Montreal at this point. I'm not even sad. I've talked to other third culture kids or people who don't have their roots in one place about this, and they consider moving back to their home country a failure. I consider moving back to Sydney or Australia a failure. It will always be there for me. This option though, even if absolutely nothing works out, seems like a fun time. Am I having a quarter life crisis? Am I gonna be a wandering expat forever? Let me know in the comments. All I know is that 2019 is gonna be wild. I'm either gonna end up with everything working out eventually or broke back in Australia, but at least I tried to have as much fun as I could. I guess the lesson here is that it doesn't matter how determined you are to do something or how persistent you are, life can still screw you over and kick you in the face. What you have to do in that moment is say screw you back, pivot, and then do something else. Some things don't work out. It can get depressing as hell, but that's okay. Let me know in the comments if you've been through anything similar, or if you know anyone in the UK, London, Germany, Berlin who could help me out with getting a job or like just contacts and stuff like that. If you have any, that would be incredibly helpful. I'm prepared, I'm excited, but I know it will be difficult. I know this update video has been absolutely chaotic, but that's what my life has been for the past 2 months, 3 months. I think it's 3 months. I apologize to most of you who came for the Montreal content, but Canada says I can't make that for much longer. Life just doesn't work out sometimes. I still have a couple of ideas for Montreal videos that I still want to put out before I leave, so there will be those. And hopefully you stay for my adventures in Europe, and potentially again Canada. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm about to go catch a flight to be a complete stranger's wedding date to the wedding of 2 people I've never met in, and I quote, the most below average city in Ontario. This is gonna be pretty wild. I'll explain in the next video. Lashan out.